Alrighty, it's almost 6 minutes after the bottom of the hour, and I'm buying the dollar versus the yen. And here we go. I think we're going to break this trend line, or we're going to go into the void. Have it your way. I just watched another ICT video. Man, that's a like lifting weights for your brain. I think we're about to break this trend line, so if you were to do the supply and demand entry, you would have bought here at the 100-yard line. I got 25 pip grid here between the hundreds. There's really no magic about the 100 because the argument falls apart about buying at the 100. If you waited for the 100 here, you never got it. So this precision entry is just a joke. Every time I watch him, I think, is he really sitting there on the 1 minute chart and taking these trades? Like, okay. One ticket and one exit. So you sold here at the trap. So this is the market maker. This is there's nothing new under the sun, as they say. You're either getting in on a reversal, or you're getting in right now, which I perceive to be the uptrend on the daily chart. Once they crack into this, forget about it. Now there are going to be pullbacks. We can all see where the pullbacks are going to be. Go to our trusty rectangle, which is never turned on the platform, as you notice. That's because of conspiracy against the traders. This wedge here is a 20 pip. I call this a 20 pip order block. Wedge. This is a wedge order block. This is completely different. And I don't want to be sued by ICT. This is complete. There's nothing to do with, because they're banning shit like COVID-19 off of YouTube. So once ICT gets big enough, he's going to start banning the use of the word order block. Don't forget, Carney is the guy who will ban you if you do a video called harmonic trading. So you try to sue me. I was laughing so hard when I went to he's got a harmonic scanner that runs real time. So he did a webinar with it. He kept updating it. Okay, well, the entry's here now. All right, the entry's gonna be a little bit lower now. No, a little bit. Dude, I can see the entry all day long here. I can see my exit actually. Now you could scalp off this. There's gonna be a big fandango up here. You know it. That's supply on a wedge. I call it supply wedge. The thought that you could come up with, and I mean, I don't recommend it because it just seems like silly, but you could sell a course in just stupid shit, shenanigans, and people buy it. That course is very, some of the stuff I didn't quite understand, but I mean, it's only like $44,000 a month. I mean, he must be connected. And the other thing ICT says is that he believes the big boys are up there, the smart money. Okay, just because the market went from it made a 100 pip move from wick to wick, is that the smart trade? Obviously, but who's getting in when it's really bullish and who's getting in when it's really bearish? Who are those people? And the people with deeper pockets were able to buy giant voids and just walk away. I mean, the guy that bought the pullback in the Bitcoin of $4,000, that guy, or the smart, there's not one guy. It's just people that happen to be, if you look back on the chart, you can see who would have won with that strategy. Of course, obviously, the question is, what is the trade tomorrow? And so, we all know that when it gets into these insane prices, people are going to be like, whoa, now wait a minute. So even back here on the chart, look at this, just simple stuff. And when I say look back, I'm saying we proved that this stuff can happen. If the market should go up, and this is crude trading, at a rate of change, and this is why people draw angles, because look at this rate of change. Here's your measured move. It doji's out. Who wouldn't want to buy this raid or stop hunt, whatever the fuck you need to call that, this 50 pip window, and hold it till here when it comes up into this window, right? Order blocks. This one doesn't get filled. You got sell limits up here. all the shenanigans that take place here, and this is what really just blows people's minds, is that the market can actually, after all this drama, calm down here. And this is what fucks up anybody's indicators. Now, when the ICT still talks about I don't know what he means when he says algorithm. Well, this isn't just like, this is an algorithm here. Whatever the fuck that means, the market's just being very quiet. So the market's dynamic and you're not. You've got a static trade plan. You've got indicators you're waiting for to be triggered by some perfect blend of ATR meets my moving average meets my what? All the money, or the smart money, I guess you'd call it. In other words, smart money is supposed to be more money than dumb money. Like dumb money is like $1,000, smart money is $1 million. I don't know. But look at this shearing psycho blast up here. You're going to tell me, and of course, you were selling up here because this is distribution according to some, this is all done, and it's going to go like this, see, and there is a vacuum here. There is a hole here. But it doesn't get dipped into till back here. And what was the pressure above, or the order imbalance here, is so fierce that we probably are cutting into, as you go up here, that's 100 pips, almost 200 pips clean up. Now, on this first price pulse up, it literally goes up in one day, almost 100 pips. Now, if you have a market over here, these are my market buys, and you have a 200 pip stop available, put one on. Think about selling. Now, I don't think people think about this stuff because they're not going to have a 200 pip stop and a 10 pip stop ticket available. I don't know anybody that's got that. They're either, well, dude, I'm trading like on my CT, like I'm trading like I don't know, 40. Are you trading 40 standard lots on one trigger pull, and you have no stop, and you trust yourself that if you're up $40 or $400, you're just going to get out and you're just going to build the account. And you're not going to freeze when it goes against you. Or you're going to put in a stop that costs you $128 roughly, depending what the spread is, and you're going to get that, or you're going to hit the button and realize that why don't you just get a hotkey keyboard and set 2Ks up and set the hotkeys, right mouse click on the script, set the hotkeys and say, well, I'm just going to sit here and click. Yeah, why not? Clickety click, 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 and then you're putting in limits, and then you take the whole basket out, and you're done, right? You're sitting there on the 1 minute chart, stalking it. Yeah, okay. If he was doing that, he would show you that, and the mentorship would be here. This is what it takes to trade like that. So I'm going along this thing based on the dailies. I'm getting in right now. I swear to God. I just looked at the chart and I go, just buy this thing. I mean, now I think the euro's going up and the pound are going up, but they're going to back off a little bit because now they're in the sell mode. This Herman trade guy wanted to go down, and this is your time to sell. It just went up. If you believe it's going way down to China, I would say this is the time to start selling the pound and the euro. But I'm just going to launch these tickets here. I've got some, okay, we're taking off here. 15-minute traders. Everybody's jumping on the train here. So I'm just going to scalp this for about, let's see, I got 22 pips stop, make 44 pips, 22 to make 60, 35 to make 25. So now this is a bad ratio. But I need this kind of trade with to make the 22 pips, right? So I'm going to make it to that, just below that next rung. And I'm looking for this dollar to just kick the yen to pieces. Like I'm over it. It's just like the yen. Look at this thing. Now, on closing prices, we're trapped under the floor here. So this is just, I'm a bull on this thing. Like, this auction's over, man. We're not staying below this. Look at this thing. Are you kidding me? You want to go short? You want to go short this thing? I don't think so. So long the dollar and short the yen. So The dailies, come on. Look at that. Oh, I guess you could keep tanking. You know, you're supposed to stay under this closing prices for the structure rules to hold. I'm going to consider this a triple bottom within a 20 pip range. So I'm not a 25 pip range, 50 pip range here. I'm not going to be all picky. And this is where we're supposed to stay below if we're in a supposed downtrend. And that doesn't always happen because here you shot above, and so a lot of things that break the rules. You know, if you're technically going to say this is a triple bottom in wicks, and when the market came back up, it kind of crushed through it. But if you take the closing approach, it gives you this low, which is a little bit higher, right? And then this is the daily chart, so it's very there could be a Sunday night in here. It's thrown off my order blocks. But this, I'm going to say this triple bottom here, and then I'm going to call this a bottom too. So I'm including that, right? I'm saying, and this is why once you have the doji view of it, you're going to consider this whole thing, which is this bottom becomes a triple top here, but that's a doji. That's a big giant like deal here, this price. If we ever make it back there, it's going to be the seller's window to at least make 50 pips out of that box, right? The market comes up. You kind of got to imagine, just like when you had your sell orders in here, and the market wicks up there one day on daily chart, and then rips all the way back and crushes this wick. Doesn't get the lonely wick though. The lonely wick doesn't get hit till here. And the guy that he's buying in this plunge, you can only imagine what people are saying. What are the headlines there, you know? As the dollar just gets annihilated by the yen into that hole. And now, oh, well, it's like it never happened. This is the next obstacle. So I'll be taking my 20 pips. And then when we come up here in the wedge, I know there's sellers here. Pull it back, we buy. That's the rest of the week for me on this dollar yen. But so this is kind of the beginning of the week here. The hunt is on, or whatever, the move is on to the end of the month, end of the year. It's all coming to an end. The dollar's stable. There's no more corona. Now it's become this weird kind of, everybody's already scattered, right? The party's over, and they raided the party. So what's going on now is it's a whole new terrain. I don't want to sound like David Icke, but it's a whole new, people just aren't going back to the things they did. And there's a lot of people that are there's a lot of pendulum swing out there. A lot of people are not going to tolerate the same bullshit. So what people buy is going to change. People will be like, well, hey, you know what? And so also it's stable until the election comes, and it's obvious that it's going to be a landslide for Trump, and they've taken all these polls and they've cooked the books on the polls even. And even if Trump doesn't win, it's just nobody's going back to it. So now that would be stock market is done, but stock market prices could be just inflationary. So you'd say to yourself, well, fundamentally, these stocks should not be worth anything because people are having other issues. And whatever happens to gold and all that in the long run, right? So, but it doesn't matter because I'm not living that long run. I'm going to buy this dollar yen, and I'm going to ride it for like 25, 50 pips today. It'll probably come ripping back off of this wedge. Now, I could put sells up there, or I can go into the pound or the other currency. So here's a trade I'm doing in the pound. I got 2-hour scripts in here. I'm looking to buy the pullback. Now, if you think it's going down to the lows over there in June, this would be the time to sell because you're rallying up into the, even a channel trader would be on top of this selling right now at the market because of the obvious channel that's going down here, right? So even Andrew's Pitchfork people would jump on this trade. So would IRS. The RSI people would come on board, right? Well, yeah, I'm getting on that train. Oh, yeah, it's going to keep going down like this. See what I'm saying? See the confluence? Oh, I know. I got a C5 on that. I got in real heavy, man. But I mean, it's like 8-hour trade. What we got here, you know? So I think this could still keep popping up a little bit, but I'd be a big seller above the tops. I mean, it's really so silly. Yes, they'll be selling above here, you know. I would, and it is the British pound, so got to be real careful here because look at this thing collapse. Pip-wise. That's a big deal. So big ass sellers here, and then you go to the lower time frames, 4 hour on this platform. Huge sellers there, right? Obviously. Let's hope it's obvious. In case ICT's watching, I'm trying to break it down. I got the 15-minute chart for that. But see, you lose your mind on that because unless you got a trade plan for that. On the 15, if you are going to do the 15, you kind of got to go like this, which is great because this chart can handle it. Because really the closing prices is the most critical thing. And the wick. So here, the wicks only cost you about 10 pips. It's a 10 pip wick, you know. And you got all the time in the day to get into these trades, you know, on the 15. Like, it's so obvious what a triple bottom is on the 15, right? I mean, it's so easy to see this, right? Here's a quadruple bottom. This is like a saucer bottom at the 100-yard line. So you could have, and I think this is the problem why you can't trade like that and why I'm always saying you gotta be kidding. This is 20 pips of fluctuation. So if you get in really heavy here, you're up 50 pips in 15 minutes. You kind of just, or maybe that's a half hour from this auction, from this new low to here, back to the floor, get out. Now, I don't know why ICT doesn't just talk about these trades. They're so obvious. Here's a triple bottom becomes a top. You got your buy limit sitting down here at the 100 anyways. Actually, for me, it looks like this. I wouldn't even notice. I mean, everybody's got to be in the same trade. Everybody's making money, right, from the same. When they're making money, they're on the right side of the market, but you're on the wrong side of. You got to take the other side at some point. There's no. This bias thing is just so. You just need to have like a 25 pip stop, right? And. But babysit the 15 coming to Asia. Buy at the market. Can you all see the trades here? Is this thing on? So here, buy at the market, 15 down, buy at the market, babysit the market, build a long position. I guess you could put a buy stop here, but what the fuck? You're getting ripped off. 25 pip rip off. You want to spend that much on your trade? If you're building a long position, on the 15 at the market, you buy, you buy, you buy, you buy, you buy, you buy. You know when it gets above this round, there's a big vacuum up here. Yeah, it gushes in. Everybody's probably out. I'd be out. Hell, I just made like 75 pips, $750 in a stare. Like, come on. You make like $1,500 on this one blast? Because you built a position? You sit there with this, well, you see here, right here, this one bar. I can't even believe he does that to people. Well, you take my course. You see this bar right here? Yeah, you get in right there with your stop. Here, just pull the trigger real big. Well, why? Because here, you could have one that you just made like 5 pips. Now, if you are really trading heavy like that, don't you want to make $50, $100, $50, $100? Sure. Absolutely. Make 50 bucks, 100 bucks. You know that there's going to be issues if we ever get above the high here. Breakout. Trap. These guys, every bar in here has a story, or every price pulse. You could have bought here on pullbacks. But when it's down on the 15, you got to hit the buy button. You got to build that position. Why would you want to risk? Why would you get in 40 standard lots here with a stop? I guess. But if you're wrong, bam, and that's a lot. Like here, you could say, well, I just bought this pullback, and then they slam me. Then I bought this pullback, and then they kept on stopping me out because I had too tight a stop. And then finally it takes off into Asia. So, but you knew that this was here. Sellers galore above this that never get filled. But these guys, sold it and then buy here when it comes back to retest here. But you got to buy every 15 that's coming down. And the bigger it comes down, the more you buy, or the wider the stop, and the more you buy. So that's what makes the martingale people say, oh, martingale all the time, yeah, I got sell limits above here, and I see it go up hard like that. I'm sell, 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 sell. Then it rips this other way. You could cash the whole position out by here and just made 50 pips on the British pound. So you got to have a big, buy right now, British pound, buy right now, right? Buy. It just pulled back. Buy it right now. Obviously, right? And where's your target going to be? Well, I'm going to have targets. I'm going to take 8 pips, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. But I want to take maybe 40% off by here. And then when it gets above here, I got to get out. I know that this is going to be crazy selling, and especially above here. Now, this whole window, you got to have all these trades queued up. Okay, I got to buy some more yen here. It's leaving the station without me. Get back to my... I can buy some more yens. Yeah, so London's going to open. I think the dollar's going to pop against the yen here, and maybe not. Maybe not so much. Like I said, I'm only trying to make this. I can see the big targets, and I think that's another problem is people get these big targets, and then the market moves against them a little bit and just crush your big dream target, because most of the stuff really is scalping on the way to the big target. Now, this is the daily chart. And I'm sure there's a guy out there that's selling a course right now on triangle breakouts. He's saying, yeah, you see this triangle here? I call this it's a modified Gartley. I call this the lizard trade. I think I talked about it I don't talk about it much because I don't want to, there's a lot of people who'll be very mad if I give away my secrets. So yeah, we all know that there's going to be a crazy sell here. Now, is it going to happen here? Or is it going to happen here? How do you even get there? Is it going to be like this? I'm suspecting it's going to be like this. Once you come up into this window, there will be sellers. But then here's sellers galore. And this is 50 pips from here to the 25 pip window. And why it's so intense there is because it is at an angle, and it's like this real old price, and then these prices are hidden from the gush of orders. So if people are short, their stops are stacking up just like this, right? I got an indicator. I got to find it. Somebody made for me, and it shows all the stops. It looks like this. So all the pressure there, and then here it would look like this right now, straight back, and it's the daily, so here's also an issue. So it's like this. This part is gone. Right, we filled that. That void's been filled. So all that exists currently right now, as you look back, is this. I'm sorry. I'm going to go this way because this is important. because there's a hell of a lot of pressure there. So since we've crushed through this, annihilated that, that's just doesn't matter anything. You could make these claims about this here, but we've already destroyed that. Come back through the other way. So that's the thing. Now, I also do have to put some buy limits in here in case I'm wrong. So I'm donating some of the position to just, oh, I know I'm right about this trade, but okay, so here's the top of the hour. We could still get a smash back when London opens because the volatility will kick up. And I'm sure I'm not the only one looking at this. I know the big boys are watching over my shoulder here. So, you know, these kind of things, and I got to believe it's going to pull back 5-10 pips. So I'm going to put some limits in on the smaller time frame. So here's where I bought at the market, kind of chasing it. And I'm going to put in these shallow tickets. I'm just going to lay them in. Let's see, I'm going to go for, I got some singles in here. So this is kind of the safest way to trade if you're afraid of blowing up the account. Here's a 30-minute ticket. I mean, really? Right, 30 minutes? This is to make, here's a 1-hour ticket. There's another 1-hour ticket, 20 pip stop. All right, so in case it backs up, because we could do one of these. Now, this would have been the place to buy earlier if you were up for it. A 15-minute chart right here, buy below this. Great fill. You could have bought at the market, right? It's down. So here you'd say, wow, this is really down. I would buy there at the market, and you got limits in this pocket. And scalp something to here, and then come back in. So, all right, let me see here. So I got some pretty crazy wide. Here's a 33 pip stop to make. Oh, these are actually double clicks. So here I just say, let me get in 15 pips deep for an hour. Okay. These are not drag and drops. So these are other style scripts that if you just go like this, double click. Oh, I'm going to buy 11 pips deep with a 25 pip stop. So these are for the tablet. So here you have to think a little bit about, this is calling out, this is a day, 20 pips deep all day here. So, okay, we're looking to leave the station. We're going to go north, people. Here's the 1-hour view. We're about to crack the algorithm up here. The order blocks are getting blown out. 6 minutes after top of the hour is the big, when the wheels come off this thing. So these double clicks are great on the tablet. Look at this. I can say, let me buy 30 pips deep. So this is kind of like supposed to be logical. In other words, although I've been accused of being illogical, here's 15 pips deep for 30 minutes double click. So if you want to trade really big, if you want to trade short auctions like a 30-minute auction, I'll buy 5 pips deep for 30 minutes with a 15 pip stop to make 40. I wrote all these things. So if you dig through all my stuff, you'll find it's in there. I don't know exactly where these are. They're called the B singles. And it means B for buy. And it's easy for me to buy, so I don't have a problem buying. So down here, like this stuff, right there, I'd have to say, well, what is that, right? Where the drops, I could fill that with a drop. So this is a mind's eye kind of trade for me. I'm thinking, oh, let me think. How about 8 pips deep for 30 minutes with a 10 pip stop? Yeah, that sounds good. Now, if you don't repeat any of this shit and the market's not moving, you will not duplicate anything. If all these double clicks are set, so this is another way to, if you want to buy at the market, but you think you could still be wrong, buy 20 pips. I mean, at least give yourself 50 pips of being wrong about the big trend. So if you think this pound's going to keep tanking, and you go to the daily and you're like, okay, well, this is obviously the pivot on the British pound on the floor, so why don't we just put some sell limits back up here again? In fact, just put some scalps in here and just make money. I know this idea of I know where the market's going, and man, I made this great call and the market went up there, but geez, I mean, if you were the guy that said, and maybe there was somebody that said it, I don't know, there's probably somebody that saw the same trade that the big boys saw, but there's so many big boys. Like, look at this. Who made money during this phase? The bulls and the bears. It really didn't matter if it was J.P. Morgan, whatever these people think's going on. That's crazy. Whatever, that just went up and down. And there was this entry, which would be the optimal trade entry. We can all see if you were trying to make the most money hindsight on this chart, and you can see the setup. I mean, it's obvious what's going on, is that when it closed below this on the daily, this is supposed to be support. Well, if support's taken out, it's supposed to become resistance. It's supposed to come up back in and go down. And the last known support and closing prices, last known little hill to valley trading, if you want to call it that, is if you take this back to the last known internal high, the top inside the bottom, that's what I call it. I've been calling that for a long time. This top becomes a bottom, right? It's also queued up to this pivot, so this whole thing. And we got to believe this chart's pretty good as far as, I actually put the fib on there. If you look at this piece, if I just go straight across and bottom becomes a top, right, and the sellers do come in, they fail. So this is a monster pivot at the 50-yard line. It doesn't have to come back to here before it tanks. But I'm talking about the liftoff. You can't extend this stuff out in space this far. It goes away in about 5 periods. I mean, it's just gone. 10 bars. The whole pattern's been, I mean, you're going into new prices. But just before the liftoff here, yeah, that's the optimal trade entry. You load the wagon here, and you got to stop sitting back here. Right, this is what people would do on these kind of trades. I got to stop back here, and that thing's just going to rip. And you're going to start selling, probably exiting above here, right? You kind of have to. But look at that. Now, did somebody predict that it was going to go right to here? I mean, did you have to? Because you could have just, started selling above here. You sold here, and you sold here. 2 or 3 days of selling? How is this a hard trade? Above here, you got sell limits. It's a hard trade because really you can handle this. You got a 300 pip stop to run. When it's up 150 pips, you sell with a 150 pip stop. Almost stop you out. Then you say, oh my God, let's put some limits up here. This thing's out of control. That's how you're looking ahead. When you see it down like this, you go, oh my God, man, look at this thing. Let's buy some. And you're like, oh boy, you know what? Let's just put limits in. I don't even have to be here for this. Let's put stack limits up in here. I got 200 pip stops on my grids. Comes back to here. We better get out. We just came back to this little closing floor. This is a bottom becoming a top. You can't get any simpler than a line chart. All of these candlesticks, that's another thing. I can't stand the candlestick charts. I cannot stand them. Why are people using these candlesticks? Well, that's what the Japanese use. And I use that on the yen. That's how I make all this money. Don't you know what's going on? Man, you really are a simpleton. Yeah, I know. It's just the whole thing about it just drives me crazy. I know what a candlestick is, so I can't unring the bell. I know this is a hammer. I can't unscramble the egg. I know it's a hammer down there because big wicks, right? Big wicks. Here's a shooting star hammer. I mean, can you imagine selling that? Every 100 pips you're selling. Oh, it's up another 100. Oh, didn't get filled on the top ticket. Like a dumb shit system. Oh, I sell up here. Yeah, sold all the way to here. I was ready to sell here. Now, you can't say that here, right? You're going to get your ass kicked. And I mean, you had to know that this void up here was so gargantuan that if you had sold there, you weren't even able to get out of like almost break even till here. You tell me you're going to sell this every day with 1,000 pip stop? I'd say you're a genius because every rally in here, by the time it got back here, if they didn't stop you out, this ticket is worth that. You're still trading with 1,000 pip stop every time you sell up into that. So if you think the pound's going to go down here to the June lows, you got to sell here, and then you got to assume we're going to do this shit. Top becomes a bottom. Perfect downtrend. You know, these are the dreams, the trades dreams are made of. You know, people, and you'll see these moves, and this just blows people's minds, this move. And like just before this thing, look at it take off. I mean, it's just cutting through there. This is your first chance to get on the train. Was this top became a bottom on wicks? I'm giving a nice broad window of top become bottom though. I'm not into this precision stuff. If you bought this auction below here and just like the euro, man, the thing just cutting all the way back. People have already cashed out. They cashed out already. We're back to here today. It's just easy supply demand. The problem is these are different supply and demand zones. Here's a 100 pip supply and demand zone. Here's a 400 pip supply and demand zone. That's the problem. It's not that supply and demand zones don't work. It's that they don't work with the size of the British pound. Can you afford to trade this thing? You're going to need more money. It moves bigger. It makes more money. But go trade the dollar yen, which I'm trading right now, which is like it's like trading corn. It's like watching paint dry. It can't even move that big. So the ATR I'm using is like this. I'm saying, oh gosh. Yeah, I still can't manipulate these windows in here. We got to do this or something. To get 4 panels. This is the whole point of the updated MT4. 4 panels vertically. So let me queue these up for the ATRs based on the frame of the MetaTrader window. So we got 4-hour charts on everything. Here's my current trade plans. Okay, so here's euro dollar. So euro dollar has made its I gotta get these to the right zoom level because I've been messing with them. All right, so if you look at the pound is like 300 pips on the screen like this if I let the computer do its own framing. So I'm not going to fix the scale. So here we got 50 pips. Euro versus the pound starts to heat up. You run a different kind of script here because I traded this wick actually because I saw this and I go, oh yeah, we're going to go down here and just going to crush this thing. So here's I got in on this one, and I watched it fill, and I go, wow, this is just going to be amazing. Came down here, and that was last night's trade because it's coming into Sunday when they raid all the way down to this piece right here. So that, wow, I was like, wow. And then it just ripped back, and I was just out of that trade so fast. And when we got to about 3 p.m. today, I just got out, Then I came back in with limits. Picked up a few pips there, but now this is still open for crushing new lows. So today I'll be putting some grids in here, I suppose. And that's the thing, you got this thing, you got that trade there, and you got to take that scalp. See, look at all these real easy scalps here. And I think because it is the pounds involved in this currency, I noticed this is a great wick, a great reversal trade on the 4 hour is to buy here and sell here the wicks. So this extreme, and here it's very easy to see these 20 pip, 25 pip reversal zones. Another one here. So you have your crop of limits sitting here, and maybe you've got a 25 pip target and a 50, but I wouldn't count on the 50 because sometimes you only make 25 pips. It's kind of a sloppy 25, right? But this way, like this one here, if you bought right in there, you kind of you may not make your full 25. So you have a soft exit too. A soft exit. Because you got to scale out. You can have a hard exit and think, oh, this thing's going here, like this is going to keep going, but it only makes it back to this this kind of like I said, there's so many trades in there. Because what if you sold every 15 minutes it's up and built a short position? Sell, 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 sell. Then when it finally makes it down to here, you probably got to get out. And then that's when I'm thinking, boy, this just like this would be a big sell window today. If you come up in there, so you got to sell limits and buy limits on this stuff, but I usually just run one side because I'm thinking if I see my terminal says that I'm like, wow, I'm in some crazy trade. I see my margin usage just went up. I'm like, well, what the hell is that? And then I'm thinking that's probably this in the back of my mind. Something's crashing into something really deep. But on the tablet, if you keep refreshing the market with these double clicks, now I'm going to put a double click in here on this pound, euro to the pound. Singles. It's hard to really blow up the account with a 1K. So this is basically when I click this thing for 20 pips deep for 3 hours. This is a $2 risk. Here is 40 pips deep for 6 hours. So I try to make them, the deeper they are, the longer they last. So the next thing I would write would be 60 deep for 12 hours, 60 deep for 70 hours. You can see how you would end up with about 300 buy double clicks, 300 at least, because if you're going to do if the news came out, you could drop a 80 pips deep for an hour. And just think about that trade. It looks like this, where you've got a big cluster of buy limits here that don't last very long. And imagine this is a 5-minute chart or 50-minute chart, and these orders last for 15 minutes. News comes out, they slam down. You've already cashed out. You've made 75 pips in the blink of an eye. It's over, right? And that trade's played out. Look how quick this was. Now, this is a 4-hour chart, but, on a smaller, if this was 5 pip handles. And this thing about, another thing ICT says is complete bullshit is about, well, you go down the 1-minute chart. Dude, I mean, yeah, but really? Isn't the spread an issue? Aren't commissions an issue? I don't know. It's mind blowing that somebody would even do that to people. But yeah, you can do this style, which I do like this on the tablet because I can just say I'm going to buy 50 pips deep for 6 hours, and just on, right? These now I'm 10 pips apart on this stuff, and if I see it get triggered, another thing is that instead of having a alarm go off, I just look at the my phone, and it's got the iMarket's live view of the world. So I see, well, there's and this is a way I can see, oh, I'm in 180K, and I'm gonna, if the market plunges, I can pick up another 100K. And is there enough money in the account to to for this tickets down here? Also, when you do the double clicks, you already know without looking at the chart. Oh, I'm buying, which is good to know. I'm buying 120 pips deep for the next 12 hours. And you could put that on some wackadoodle currency that can do that kind of move. If it spikes down there, why isn't that a good trade? So that one entry point, is that going to be a tight stop, wide stop, tight profit, wide profit? How is it going to be constructed? But this way, trading's so boring and so kind of, well, I guess people think there's no work to it, but here, like, you got something to do at least. Oh, let's put some orders in, and you're just setting up a domino. You're just putting mines out there to get triggered. And you're just scooping up unsuspecting traders, they're going to be selling down there, and you're going to be buying. And there is no big boy watching the charts and pulling the trigger and moving the market. It's a collection of everybody. Oh, it's a collection of the price of the market dictating price because of the voids left behind. So if gold keeps going up and everything keeps going up, the stocks and gold, they will run into moments when they take off and blow people's minds, like this here. Like look at this screaming move. So if this was 2,000 on gold and this is the monthly chart or the yearly chart, this is not going to blow people's minds. It's not create order imbalances and other things in the world. I'm sure it will. Look at the history. Look at the dramatic moves in cocoa, coca, chocolate, gold at 270. I remember this 20 years ago. I was, this is like 20 years ago. I'm looking at the markets. I'm like, look at this shit. And at that time, nobody traded gold. Nobody. And I'm like, something's up. Something's weird. And I used to buy data at $50 a month on 3.5-inch diskettes they were perpetual contracts by a company called Full Compass. So Full Compass would mail me, yes, in the mail, people, daily charts. These are not 15-minute charts. And I'd go over this data. I'm just saying, I've seen more data than anybody I know other than me. I have looked at perpetual charts. These are continuation charts of futures, and you had 3 different modes. There was 3 different styles and these people they're called rollover contracts, and they construct these things and sell them to you. It was $50 a month. And I was like, wow, I'm loading this thing on my 286 and 386. I'm like, look at this shit. Then I got FM broadcast bringing in Market Watch. I had ProQuote. ProQuote was so cute. I mean, real-time data. And I'm just like, wow, now look at forex. It's so easy. It's just like it's just like stupid easy. Don't have to talk to anybody. Data's free. That's what a world. I mean, I guess that's why the old foundation, The seats on the exchange. You know how much that costs to have a seat on the exchange? It's like big. You could sell that. You don't even have to trade. You could buy a seat on the exchange and hold it. It's like a piece of real estate. It's mind blowing that that's all gone. So that was all gone before Corona even made it so you were just going to buy on Amazon. So that whole wave's already. It's so cute that people talk about the reset. Fucking, there's been a million resets. Look at the savings and loan um, crash when they weren't even bailed out. You know, they just went bankrupt. You know, savings and loan is bye bye. Um, anyways, second sidetrack here, but what are you going to do? You know, the market's open 24 hours here, and you're putting these tickets in, and you're trading at the market if need be, and you're go back to sleep. You know, still gotta sleep. So okay, let's see here now. This is the 4 hour euro versus the pound, and this currency here on the 4 hour is just a complete insanity. And it's all about, are you trying to make 50 pips or 25 or 75 or 100? Because I really don't want to think about trends, and I just don't. I could, I guess, just to make me feel better about the trade I'm in. It's an uptrend, and I bought. Well, you're good. You've done good. You've done a real good job. You're a good trader then. I'm very congruent. But I'm not big enough for it to worry. And if I really know that my market orders do suck, typically, I'm always getting in thinking, oh, this is about to take off. I'm going to buy right now. And then I just realized, well, just put in some wide stops in some of these because maybe it is going to go up. But for the love of Pete, put some fucking limits in below because there's no fucking way that you are going to be right 100%. And when I mean 100%, I don't mean that I'm not going to. I mean, I'm all in this moment in time 100% in one instance. Sure, you may be 100%, but why not get in 1%, 2%, and then finally you're in like 80% of what you'd want to be in. Say you want to be in at 100K, so you end up in a 50K. You're like, you know what? There's nothing I can do. I missed the fucking train. At some point, you got to admit, you know what? Just like this euro dollar trade that I did, and I bought this plunge in the euro, and I'm like, yeah, this is a great trade. And so every time the euro dropped, it was a great trade as far as I'm concerned. And to scalp out to where you know you had to get out was the trick, right? So here you would get out. If you bought down here on the 4 hour euro dollar, euro to the dollar, you bought this trap, and you bought this down, and then you just held it, and then you dumped here. So I dumped before we got to I dumped into the floor of here. And it did have some follow through, right? But it got all crazy. So I dumped here, and then it did pull back a little bit. Then one last gasp here. So now I'm thinking, let's put buy limits in here. I'm going to come in with the half hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour. And by here, these are going to be tickets that last 6 hours. And I can double click these, right? I can put all these in and go to sleep. And it's just like a ticking time bomb now. This is going to be the dailies and the 12 hours down here in case we go lower. Because every time we go lower, 25 pips lower, I take the 25 pips off the table. Now, you're not going to make as many pips on the euro. You can trade, it's a tighter spread, you can trade closer together. Anyways, so that's it. That's it. I'm long the dollar yen. I think that the euro's going to come back down a little bit, and it might go down to the June lows at this point. But I'm hog long this this damn dollar yen. That's the trade. This bitch is going up. So hold on to your hat. I'm going to buy some more right here at just before London Open. It's now 1:30. Let's get in here. 100 pip stop, 50 pip stops. Here's 18 pip stop to make 10. So here's another trick, is the 10 pip target with the 18 pip stop. And I put a lot of those in. All right. Let her rip. It is now 1:30. Kaboom. North from here. I'm sure all the big boys are in the same trade I'm in, you know, because that's how it has to be. You have to imagine that the trade you're in is the trade the big boys are in. You're in that trade.